Hey everyone, this is Lye Yosh. Welcome back to Life Study Library. Today we're going to be talking about specific personality traits or behaviors that leads to success. And how to be successful is undeniably a hot topic. It's been the hot topic since humanity was born, and it's going to stay a hot topic until the day humans die. A lot of people say that success is subjective and it differs among personal preference, and I do believe that, but I do see a pattern among these. And if I were to just end the video right now and just tell you how to be successful, I would say that you would be successful if you notice it. Like, it's more lenient towards personal satisfaction. Like, even if you're objectively poor, if you're happy with it, then you're successful. If you are a millionaire and you get praised by everyone, but you feel miserable, then I guess you're not. But then I'm here to talk about specific traits, so I'm going to talk about that. And if I were to sum it up in 2 words, oh no, 3 words, then it would be IQ and personality. And I know that some of y'all just got allergic reactions just by hearing the term IQ. But I feel like a lot of people are misunderstanding when it comes to the meaning of IQ or why is IQ important in terms of being successful. Because IQ is more than just, being smart and getting all A's. When it comes to being successful, IQ is an indicator of how well you're able to make good decisions. The reason why successful people tend to have a high IQ is that they can distinguish a good decision from a bad decision, and they're able to pick a good decision and act on it. So let's say, for example, if you wish to have a healthy and a good-looking body, right? So you decide to go to the gym. As you're walking out, you see a jar of cookies or hamburgers and fries, and everyone gets tempted. That's natural. But then, if you have a higher IQ, you're going to be able to say no. You're going to be able to understand that closing the door and going to the gym would be a good idea, and eating those junk food will be a bad idea. And because you can land on that conclusion, you're going to be able to do that and repeat that over and over until you reach a certain goal, the success you envisioned initially. Well, hey Yosh, I have a low IQ. Does that mean I'm done for? Is there anything I can do? Well, shut up, I'm getting to it. So, like I said, IQ plays a major role when it comes to deciding whether you can be successful or not. But remember the other quality that I talked about? Your personality. This one's actually more interesting because a lot of people are unaware of these specific personality traits that would help them succeed, and there are several of them. But then they're really unaware of these because these topics have not really been discussed before in detail. And if you have these personality traits, the earlier you notice about them, the more time you have to essentially harness it and make it work your way so that it can be successful. So that's what I'm going to talk about by using a study done at the University of California at Riverside. So likewise, this channel discusses these interesting scientific and psychological information by implementing data from scientific articles. So if you're interested in hearing about these and learning, please click the subs. And I also have some videos that talk specifically about IQ, which can be found down at the description. So if you're interested in hearing about that as well, you can go check that out. So if you want to learn more about these interesting information about science and psychology that might be helpful to you, subscribe to my channel, like this video, and keep up with my future content. So thank you so much for your support, and let's go along with the video. Okay, so the study collected 144 elementary school children, and their daily behavior was observed and was rated based on these 39 different personality traits. So basically, there was this 39 different personality traits like extroversion or impulsiveness, stubbornness, curiosity. Yeah, 39 of these. And all the sample children were ranked based on these different traits. So, child A ranks higher than child B in the impulsiveness category, but ranks lower in the extroversion category, something like that. Now, 40 years later, the same samples were collected again to have an interview with the researchers, who examined their personality based on the 5-factor model of personality, or the Big Five for short. So the Big Five is essentially a method that can be used to examine your personality, basically the most accurate personality test known to psychology. The Big Five consists of 5 categories, which I'm going to go over briefly. So we have conscientiousness, how much you can focus and be earnest; extroversion, your social ability; agreeableness, how well you can work in teams; neuroticism, your mental stability; and open to experience, how well you can enhance new information. So through the Big Five test, the samples were assessed on their medical, physical, and cognitive wealth, essentially how successful they became. What the researchers wanted to know is to see if there were any specific behavior traits that the samples had when they were kids, and find out whether having these traits led to their success in their middle stages of their lives. And the results showed 4 different behavioral attributes that showed strong correlation, the most prominent, and they are verbal fluency, adaptability, impulsiveness, and self-minimizing. So during the sample's childhood, how well they spoke, how well they adapted, how much of a daredevil they were, and how humble they were. So now I'm going to discuss and analyze the results. So the children who were rated high in verbal fluency showed indicators of intellectual curiosity, fluency in speech, high capability to control and regulate different situations, and overall showed significant signs of intelligence. So the children had these significant indicators when they were examined again 40 years later. So the analysis is that verbal fluency essentially means that if you are rated high in it, you are able to select and retrieve specific information from memory. To do this, you need cognitive control over stuff like selective attention, controlling emotion, or stuff like shifting and controlling your mentality. So overall, if you are high in verbal fluency, you are able to analyze your internal vocabulary and your exterior situation, meaning that you'll be fluent when you talk, and you'll be able to successfully control your emotion and different situations, which makes you overall welcoming of taking in new information, so your intellectual curiosity will increase too as a result. Next up, children who are rated high in adaptability showed indicators of overall cheerfulness, fluency in speech, and high intellectual curiosity when they were examined 40 years later. In contrast, children who scored low tended to be negative about themselves, excessively dependent, and overall awkward in social settings in their middle years of their lives. So what this means is that children who are adaptable are essentially optimistic to a healthy level, because the personality allows it so that they can easily switch and fit in with the new concepts. So essentially they don't lose hope when one thing doesn't work, because they can easily move on to the next thing. One of the categories in the Big Five that I mentioned earlier has openness to new experience, and people who are adaptable are high in this category, both intellectually and socially. And that's why they get curious about learning new information, so that they'll learn new vocabulary, and that's why they are fluent in speech, and they show intellectual curiosity. Moving on to the next one. Children who are rated high in impulsiveness showed indicators of speaking loudly, having a wide range of interest, and overall being talkative, which this may all sound positive, but impulsive nature also shows characteristics of acting before thinking, not being able to hold back, and doesn't consider possible consequences. So, therefore, being impulsive is usually not an ideal trait, because in order to be successful, aka make the right decision, you have to have the intellectual ability to control your urges and properly analyze the situation, and neither can be achieved if you're impulsive. And a lot of the motivational speakers and the self-improvement experts, they say stuff like, "Oh, you have to be a daredevil. That's how you succeed. That's how I succeeded." You know, and they're wrong, because logically, if you want a higher chance of deciding right, you have to sit down and calmly analyze your choice. So these people who say that they succeeded because of their impulsive nature are just lucky and will soon fail because of their lack of intellectual ability to think. To put it bluntly, they're just stupid. Being impulsive might work with decisions that doesn't really have a big impact in your life. For example, what to have for dinner or stuff like that. Impulsive nature also comes with talking loudly, which is advocated by many influencers. They say stuff like, "Oh, you have to show confidence by being loud and big and brash." But the description of impulsiveness, remember, which includes the trait of loud speech, are described as acting or speaking and not considering the consequences. This comes in many forms: acting or speaking without considering if it's the right place to do so, if it's to the right people, if it's the right situation. So in short, people who believe you have to be loud and impulsive are just dull and not intelligent enough to think in a long-term game. And that's why they're stupid. And that's why they're funny at the same time. But enough with that, let's go to the fourth one. So, children who are rated high in self-minimizing, or you can also say humbleness, showed indicators of expressing guilt, sought reassurance, said negative stuff about themselves, and expressed insecurity. And while all this sounds negative, the description of self-minimizing is described as minimize self-importance, being humble, does not brag, and overall satisfied with less important tasks or positions. So the important thing is that by combining portions of all these traits, you can Goldilocks it into a personality trait that is best suited for selecting the right options, and by repeating that, you'll be able to climb the ladder of success. So an ideal personality trait would be like, you have the right amount of verbal fluency that enables you to select the right information that you collected in your head when making decisions. And by having the adaptability to be tolerant of failures and quickly adapting to a new set of information that might work next time. And by being patient and controlling your emotion during these process. And by being patient and controlling your emotion during all these process. And by having the right amount of self-minimization so that you'll be humble when you need be and can brag when you need be. So in terms of humbleness, you can say stuff like, I'm the main person of the spotlight for now, but I couldn't have done it without the help of others. Stuff like that. So if you have these combinations of personality traits, then you're going to be able to have a higher chance of experiencing success in your own way. But then I know that you're going to have a question. Now, Yosh, you just explained a number of very specific personality traits, but I honestly don't think my personality applies to any of them. And I've also watched other YouTube videos about, how to change your personality, but all they say is stuff like you can change your personality by trying or being confident or by developing a hobby. It doesn't really get a specific action out of me. What am I supposed to do? How can I change my personality for the better? And I got you the answer for that. So, first of all, changing your personality is very, very hard because when people talk about this or think about this, it usually means how to change your personality in a drastic level. And in order for you to do so, you can have a complete 180 of a personality change. But in order for this to happen, you need to go through a major life-changing event. More specifically, a major life-changing event in a negative fashion. So stuff like your heart getting broken for the first time, or you go through an accident, and maybe even like a semi-death experience of yourself or other people who are significant. And you don't experience these stuff often, and you don't really want to experience these stuff in the first place. And of course, you can experience life-changing events in a positive fashion, but you're more likely to have a greater effect if it's done in a negative fashion. So it's like a trampoline. You sink down first, and then if you use the power and the momentum right, you can jump to a higher position than if you were to just be on an upward slope. What you can do is make small daily step-by-step changes in your life so that you can do it constantly, and by the time you're conscious of your work, you're all high above in the mountain. Sorry, I got a little off tangent, but what I wanted to say is that the important thing is not to change your personality, but to train yourself to attain these personality traits so that your core personality can stay the same, but you'll know how to act in these personalities when you see fit. So the 4 personality traits that I discussed in this video: how to have a high level of verbal fluency, high level of adaptability, low level of impulsiveness, and how to bring self-minimizing to a moderate level. And you're going to be asking, how do you bring all these 4 success-inducing personality traits to an appropriate level? And if you're wondering about this, you can go check the description where you'll find the link to my other video about this one scientifically proven method that has a chance of changing your life. And this is very special because remember the big 5 personality traits? It had conscientiousness, extroversion, openness to new experience, low level of neuroticism, and what was the other one? Openness. No, agreeableness. I've talked about these 5 traits in this video, but this one method that I have for you in this other video might improve 4 out of 5 of these traits all at once. So by watching this other video, you can get a sense of where to start in terms of how to scientifically change and improve your life. So that's it for today's video. Thank you for watching. And if you want to check my other videos or my future videos that I'm going to post, please subscribe to my channel. I highly appreciate it. So yeah, it's a good way to invest in me. And that's it for now. I'm going to go eat. Bye.